Good morning. Thank you for staying tuned to Citizen TV. You're still watching Daybreak on this 18th day of October 2021. My name is Sam Gituku, and I want now to introduce the panelists that are here in studio. We have Jonathan Mweke, former Deputy Governor of Nairobi County.
Good morning.
But also seeking to be Governor of Kitui. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
We have Robert Mboi, Member of Parliament for Kathiani. Welcome back to the show. Speaker Kagusha, John Kagusha of Nyeri County. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
I don't know what you want to go for in 2020. That's what I'm not saying. But we also have Dr.
I'll say it at an appropriate time.
You will say at the appropriate time.
Yeah.
Dr. Pamela Odhiambo joining us from Meru. She's the woman representative for Migori County, but also seeking to be the second governor of Migori County. Welcome to the show, Dr. Pamela Odhiambo. And you'll
Good morning, Kenya, and good morning, viewers.
Great, and we'll be talking about why she is in Meru in our subsequent topics, but I want us to first quickly look at what's happening in the papers. On the front page of the Daily Nation, you'll see Uhuru, Raila plot NAC-like coalition, and faced with formidable challenge from DP Ruto's United Democratic Alliance, strategies for President Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga have drawn inspiration from the victorious pre-election pact of 2002 and crafted 3 options for nominations to secure majority seats at all levels. The story is continued on page 4 that you see some of the parties that these 2 other parties are working with, and also the associations that we've been seeing with different political parties. You see the story is continued on page 4. ODM leader Raila Odinga is receives President Kenyatta when he arrived in Kisumu County for a 3-day tour of Nyanza region in May 2021. So you can read there to see the details of what would be a look-alike of 2002 NARC. Still on that page, you see Kenya on winning streak with victories in Amsterdam and Paris marathons. Kenya's Angela Tanui celebrates after winning the women's TC's Amsterdam Marathon in Amsterdam yesterday. Elisha Rotich won the Paris Marathon. Of course, you focused on that show in our news, but also on the front page of the Standard, Ruto front runner or 2022 pace setter. For the last 3 years, the DP has been on the campaign trail, giving him a clear advantage. But as other aspirants emerge and sell their candidature, will he be able to maintain his pace to the finish line? And Dr. Pamela Odhiambo, maybe you can come in on this, because the Standard is asking whether DP is a front runner or just a pace setter. What are your thoughts now that you're in Meru for a campaign or some work that ODM leader Raila Odinga is expected to be coming to start this morning?
Thank you very much, Sam. I think the dice is cast. And as I said some time back earlier, when the DP started these early campaigns, actually way back soon after the handshake in 2018, everybody has been thinking he's the man of the day. But you see, he was only alone in this whole race. But now that others are coming up, and especially Honorable His Excellency Raila Odinga, you have seen Kenya is expectant, Kenya is waiting, and for sure, I think it is not going to be as easy for the deputy president as he had thought. It is not going to be a ride in the park for him, because if you listen to what comments of Kenyans are, since Raila started making his tours and speaking to Kenyans about the unity of this country and the genuine way of reviving the economy of this country for the young people, you have seen people are changing. And this makes me remember something that was said some time back, Vindu Vichenjanga. And I think it is going to change for the better, for Raila and for Kenya and for all of us.
But Dr. Pamela, what do they say about the early bird?
Sorry?
What do they say about the early bird?
Well, sometimes the early birds catch worms which cannot actually stay and count. So I really don't think the early bird business will work here for William Ruto. Why? Because much of what he's been telling Kenyans, if you analyze it critically and strategically, you find that it is something that cannot hold water. much of the utterances have been utter lies and perceptions that can only be talked about in those rallies, but in real practice. For example, I am one person who does not believe in this issue of the hustler narrative, and more so when I'm aware that our deputy president has been very key and central in making decisions in this country at that top organ.
Okay.
I will never forgive Kenya for importing doctors from Cuba, but our own doctors, they are giving wheelbarrows. I think this is something that is
Dr. Pamela, Dr. Pamela,
and therefore it is not going to just work for him. Kenyans have become brighter. Kenyans want substance that can make sense.
All right, Dr. Pamela, we'll get back to, just hold on, Dr. Pamela, we'll get back to the conversation about the messaging that we are seeing on the campaign trail later on. For now, I just wanted us to reflect on what is in the dailies, the main stories there. And Speaker Kagushia, what are your thoughts, especially in the making of the 2022 race? It appears, once upon a time when you were on the show and you said that in the end, it will end up being Ruto versus Raila. Is that what it is now, and what do you think about the headline of the Standard?
Yeah, definitely. It will not change. It will be Ruto, Raila competition, and any person who thinks that they want to be competitive or they want to be relevant, politically speaking, must align to either of the two candidates. My good friend, Dr. Pamela, need to know that where she is now in Meru, about 2 years ago, or 1.5 years ago, Raila Odinga was there, and that time he was drumming up support for BBI. And when he was doing this, he did not only drum up support for BBI, but he also aggressively sold his candidature to Mount Kenya region. And so this notion and narrative that only one person has been campaigning or doing early campaigns, that is a deputy president, I do not think it holds. Actually, the campaigns for Raila Odinga's candidature for 2022 started on the day the handshake was done in March. And it was a very aggressive campaign. And I think that is what the deputy president may have noticed. And that is why he started posturing himself also. Because one person is doing his campaigns through the government structures and through the systems. And you now, who actually is in the system, you're put off and you're put outside the government. And for that reason, then you have to talk for yourself. And so that is what has been happening. We have had the two sides campaigning. In fact, it is Mudavadi and maybe Kalonzo Musyoka who have not been campaigning. I don't know whether it's because of lack of capacity or the structures or lack of support from the government. But for them, they have not
support from the government.
I mean, they may not have had proper access or direct access maybe to the government systems for them to be enabled to do that early campaign.
Are you saying there's anyone who is using the government system to campaign?
Of course, Raila Odinga has had that access anytime. He has been a partner in this government, and you know that. This is handshake government.
So how has he used the government system
this is no longer the Jubilee government. This is handshake government. It's a government between His Excellency the President, Uhuru Kenyatta, and the People's President, Raila Odinga. So that is it.
Speaker Kagushia, I'm asking, how is Raila Odinga using the government system to campaign?
Oh, you don't know? Haven't you seen Raila Odinga on government choppers?
No.
On private jets, I mean, for government?
Private jet, government, what is the connection?
Private jets hired by government.
How do you know that?
Oh, it's common knowledge. Raila Odinga accesses government systems and is able to get the support.
You know,
by the way, for your information,
it's important
for
to
your
be
information,
factual
yeah, for your information, for your information.
So when you say that private jets have been hired by the government, how much was it and who signed off that?
You know, what you need to look at is the facilitation that Raila Odinga gets from government to conduct his rallies, to conduct his meetings. And he has direct access to all the government functionaries, something that even those people who are in government themselves do not access. So the issue of early campaigns, or it's not from one side.
No,
this is something that is happening from all the people.
That the former prime minister has been using private jets funded by the government and choppers.
Yeah.
And you're saying
let me tell you, when Raila Odinga went to Dubai, you remember the trip to Dubai?
Can you talk about the campaigns here in the country?
No.
Because that's what you allude to.
No, what I'm telling you is government that Raila Odinga accesses directly government facilities. He's funded, his motorcade is government. He's now salaried and properly facilitated and well-oiled from government. When Raila Odinga, for example, want to go to Dubai, you know, that is commonly. It was you also reported it, that he was on government jet.
You know, stating it is easy. I'm just asking for
I have given you an example.
Much?
I have given you an example. I can't say how much. You know, I don't work for government. I don't.
But you say
I'm not in treasury.
But you said, unless you want to withdraw, you said that Raila Odinga has been hiring private jets paid for by the government.
No, I'm telling you, Raila Odinga has direct access to government facilities and structures for his campaigns, and he has had that all along.
What
Today,
structures?
if Raila Odinga comes to my village, you can be sure I'll get a call from the chief.
To tell you what?
To participate.
Anyway, all right. Those are the views of Speaker Kagusha here. Robert Mbowe, the Daily Nation is saying that Uhuru Raila plot like coalition for 2022, of course, detailing some of the challenges that were experienced in 2002, where political parties lost their identity. Will this work, and where does this leave One Kenya Alliance in the mix towards 2022? One Speaker Kagusha says that Kalonzo and Musalia Mudavadi have not been campaigning, probably because of lack of access to government resources. I don't know how factual that is.
First, let me say that I think sometimes some of our leaders are really mixed up when it comes to issues to do with what campaigns are. And I think somehow the media has also participated, because every time you look at the papers and you see a photo of a leader and a huge crowd of people contravening the COVID-19 regulations, then now that seems to be the person campaigning. And I think that's really the problem, because people believe that when you stand in a podium and there's 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people squeezed head to head, nose to nose, mouth to mouth, that is now a campaign. And so, unfortunately, the OKA candidates are campaigning, just because campaigns is not just the public rallies. As we are speaking now, the government has banned all public rallies. So you cannot say that the government has banned campaigns. It has banned public rallies. But campaigns are going on, because you meet leaders, you discuss your agenda, you discuss issues with them. So that is what OKL leaders are doing. They're meeting leaders from different regions. But let me talk about this issue of...
I'm just wondering, when the government bans public gatherings, what are public gatherings?
I think public gatherings are places where the public get together in large numbers so that they can be addressed without being able to observe social distance.
So when you hold
like in a marketplace,
a large meeting,
a large meeting in a confined area, for example, what do we call it? Maybe a marketplace, and there is no rules and regulations. There is no sitting arrangement.
So One Kenya Alliance, which ones are you pursuing?
What we have meetings. When we have meetings, people sit and there is space. The people are arranged in such a way that you don't contravene the law. So generally what I'm saying is that what people are perceiving to be elections or campaigns is when someone goes to a public forum and meets people in a marketplace, comes out of the top of their car and addresses them. So that's what now is being driven as a campaign. So really, at the end of the day, maybe OKA are not doing too much of that, because we want to respect the government. We also want our people to be alive in 2022 to vote for us. So that's why we are not doing a lot of that. Once in a while, we might get blocked by the public and address them, but really we are trying to avoid that as much as possible.
Okay.
But let me talk about this issue of the 2022 issue of the DP being the front runner or the pace setter. Some, I think he basically was just a pace setter, because and I want to totally disagree with the speaker here. I mean, when you say that Raila started his campaigns when they did the handshake, I mean, that was a time when he stopped the campaigns for the 2017 general election. That was the day when they shook hands,
for
they stopped the campaigns. And after that, in fact, let me tell you, the disagreement between the president and his deputy is the fact that the president wanted to achieve certain goals within this period when he's serving his last term. And the deputy president didn't give him a chance. He was all over the place campaigning from day one. And Uhuru has said that to all of us. Kenyans are aware that the DP has been in the state of campaigns. Immediately after the last general election, he called Mount Kenya leaders and started addressing them about 2022. Right. And that's one of the things that annoyed the president, because you can imagine if you just won a seat and the next day someone is already discussing how they will take over from you. So I think that the reality is that Raila Amolo Odinga is now has just now declared his interest to be president. At that point, he couldn't also have done that.
He has actually not declared.
He has
not declared. He has not declared
now
facts.
is when he's saying, he's talking about what he will do when he's president. And I'll say this, he couldn't have said it when they did the handshake, because at that time, you know, the MOU of NASA was live. And we had agreements about 2022, which I will not talk about now. Okay. But the fact is, there were agreements, so he couldn't have talked about himself being a candidate. And therefore, he could not have aggressively campaigned, as my friend here has said. So now is when he's starting to talk to Kenyans about the future. And most likely, he's probably going to still respect the MOU and allow a team of people to come together, as you've said, as a nation said in the headline, allow a team of people to come together to form government together.
Will that include 1KA?
We've charted our own path, and but I'm just saying that in politics is very fluid.
All right,
we might get together.
We'll come
somewhere.
back to that, Honorable Mui. Deputy Governor, you've been gone for so long, but here you are. How is it going? Because look, the conversations are around Raila versus Ruto, pacesetter or frontrunner, talking about coalitions. How do you see it looking ahead?
Well, it's quite some interesting times, because I'm hearing my two colleagues talking about Uhuru and Raila and the deputy president. But the true matter of fact is, we only know of one candidate right now who has decided he's going for the presidency, and that's the deputy president. The handshake don't have a candidate.
Is that fair to say that? I think Kalonzo Musyoka has said he will be running. Musalia Mudavadi has said as much.
Correct.
Ruben Kigame, Speaker Muturi.
Correct, but they're running around a coalition and they don't have a candidate yet. So everybody is an aspirant, but there's no candidate.
You become a candidate once IBC declares you're a candidate.
So they're all aspirants and they're all saying we're going to come together, and you can't have four candidates in one coalition. You can only have one. So while we are talking about pace setting, you pace set when you are running with people. Right now, we don't know who we are running against. That's one. So we're waiting to see who the competition will be. And you start really competing when you know who you're competing against. Right now, I don't think the deputy president knows who he's competing against. So the focus of the deputy president's campaign has not been who is he competing against, has been his agenda for Kenya. And that's what the messaging has been. Been going around the country saying, listen, these are the solutions to Kenyans' problems. We understand we're in an economic crisis. What is the solution for that? Does it have impact? Is it sustainable? And those are the things I think we really should be talking about. What is it that we can do to get ourselves out of this economic crisis? What is it that we can do to see economic recovery? And then once we know who our competitors are, then we'll be able to take it from there. But Sam, I think it's also very important to speak about the formations, political formations of today. We are seeing OKA, the newspaper is talking about NAC-like coalitions, but all we are seeing is the other leaders who are running for president are building coalitions around themselves. So it's a coalition around leaders. And I think that's the difference between UDA and OKA and this NAC-like coalition we are seeing in the front page between Uhuru and Raila.
All right.
We are building an alliance with the people, and the other leaders are sitting down around tables, doing interviews, and trying to figure out how they can build a coalition amongst leaders, amongst people, themselves as leaders. So we're wondering, where do the people of Kenya come in?
It's interesting there is interviews, but no, we'll get back. We'll get back to that. Let's focus